I'm also recording this so that people who want to watch it later can watch. Yeah. So my name is Rajagopal. I anchor outreach here, and this webinar we were discussing this morning. It's not about us, the university or the faculty. It's about the student, right, who is in class 11, 12, and wondering where I will get a clear guidance for the kind of courses that I must pursue in higher education, right? That's the idea of this webinar. And what I start to March, right? It's 31 degrees Celsius in a place like Bangalore, which probably never had ceiling fans in the 70s and the 80s when houses were constructed. That's true. And we all know where we are headed. But then, as people like Seema and Santonu would always say, that the hope is the next generation, right? The future environment champions are probably sitting and listening to you. Not that I've lost hope on adults, but at times I do lose hope. And on that note, I'm going to hand it over to the experts. I'm very, very pleased to welcome my colleagues Seema Mundoli and Santonu Goswami to talk about our BSc Environmental Science and Sustainability. I think that's important. It's not just environmental science and do what we want to do, but towards a sustainable world, right? On that note, over to the experts. I'm not reading your profile. I think you should read up, just Google their names. I won't do justice reading their profiles in 30 seconds, right? So over to the experts. I will leave it to you how you want to do it.
So what we wanted to do today, both Seema and I, we thought first we'll run maybe a couple of slides, and then just to talk about how the program is structured and why we believe it's a very unique program, and then we can have interaction if that is all right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'll bring the slides up. Seema, would you like to go through the slides? Maybe I can. It's with me. I can bring it up, and let me see how to share my screen. Okay. Yeah. Just give me a second. So is my screen visible now? Is there the slides up? All right. So Seema, because Professor Seema Mundoli is the coordinator of the program and also the academic advisor. So she will start, and then we'll get into all the interaction. Right? Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks, Santonu and Rajagopal, for that very generous introduction, and welcome to all of y'all. And we'll just do a very quick introduction of the program. And after that, if you have any questions for Santonu and me, please feel free to ask about the program, the prospects of internships, research, anything that you want. Santonu, can you move to the next slide, please? So how we have framed, so normally in any institution, environmental programs, environmental science program, you either have an environmental science program or you have an environmental studies program. So what we have wanted, which is very discipline focused. Science means you do the pollution and the technology and the science related part. If it is studies, you do a lot of the human ecology, sociology aspects of the environment. What we want to do here at the university is to look at what we see is the intersection of society and nature, society and environment, and we look at we use a framing of coupled social environmental systems, because all of us, we may think that we are separate from the environment, but we do live in an environment, we have an impact on the environment, and the environment also impacts us. So that's why we are saying that both the social elements as well as the ecological or the environmental elements are equally important. So we have a certain number of framing courses in the program that help to put this in perspective, which will help students think, move away from that very silo-based discipline thinking to a more interdisciplinary way of thinking about the environment, looking at both people, nature, biodiversity all together. So the entire program has 12 core courses, and 2 of these courses, as we've shown in the slide, look at the framing elements, the intersections between development, society, environment, people, biodiversity, everything. And of course, it is a science program, so there are going to be a lot of lab-related courses as well. We have pollution courses on microbiology, where the students will get to do the theoretical elements, but they will also test things in the lab and also in the field outside. So what we are here trying also to say is that, for example, a couple of our faculty do these workshops on what are the chemicals that are there and the most common things that we use. How does it impact us? How does it impact the environment? How do we understand that better? So that is a very critical part of it, because we want our program to be very based in the context of what is happening around us. It's one thing to learn about things which are very distant, but we want the students to start with learning about the immediate environment around them, and that so they will be doing soil sampling, they will be doing air pollution analysis. Shantanu has just recently set up a weather station on the campus, which our current ESS students are very excited about. So they get to go and see. It's like a local weather station, the weather station at the university. And they're very keen to analyze the data and see how the microclimate of that place is changing. Similarly, there are many lakes around, and the local community here is very curious and very interested in knowing about what are the pollutants in their lakes. So we're trying to work with the local community also and with the students to see how we can analyze water and air soils around. We also have an environmental microbiology course as well in the third semester. Fourth semester, we also have a course on environmental economics and policy, because while we are doing something in the classroom and in the labs, there is also this external world out there that is responsible for a lot of decision making about the environment. So the environmental economics and policy course will especially focus on how the decisions regarding the environment are taken by the people in the decision makers or the people in power. What influences them? What kind of policies work? Why don't some policies work and some policies, why, for example, was the Montreal Protocol so effective in addressing ozone depletion, but we're having such a challenge of addressing simple things like waste management in our cities or even water scarcity. We also have a certain number of courses that are focused on developing or strengthening the research skill of students. These include both quantitative and qualitative courses, which will have a range of methods. So for us, we are a part of the Center for Climate Change, which is also anchoring this course. For us, the methods also cannot be separated. They are both very continuous. And we are also very keen to work with students on new ways of research. For example, Shantanu has been working with his RAs to find out, to come up with something called as a climate report, which gives very, very granular data. How do you go about doing that? Or we also work with students and organizations in Bangalore in doing a tree census, which looks at mapping the trees, mapping the biodiversity of the trees, and saying, why do we need trees in the city? So these don't necessarily fall entirely into quantitative or qualitative buckets. So we see these as methods that can help address a real problem on the ground, which students can be a part of the, not just learning about the problem, but also be a part of the solution. We also have GIS and remote sensing, which is now a very, very popular course and much demanded even at the university. One of our faculty, Neeti, is the person who's going to be teaching it. And we also, for the action, we are looking at, there is one course called a Sustainability Action in You, which is run by another faculty called Kunal, which we have not mentioned here, but it is there in the final semester. And that talks about the environment and sustainability cannot be all about gloom and doom. So this course will especially focus on the positive actions that people have been doing in and around at a very small scale to a much larger scale. So it could be somebody who has restarted how to forage for urban greens in a city. It could be a waste management model that has become very, very effective. It could be the lake rejuvenation or lake protection campaigns in Bangalore and how they have helped literally make lakes alive again. So it's not just about, so when we talk about the core courses, we are looking at all these elements. The framing of the course, which is very interdisciplinary. We address both issues of society and science. We're trying to build the skills of the students in research. And finally, not stopping at that, we want students also to take that small step towards action in addressing the environmental topics. Santonu, next slide.
Sure. Nick.
If you want to add something, please go ahead.
No, I'll add it. Like, let's go about it, and then once we get into the interaction, then we'll add it.
Yeah. And our teaching approach, the faculty, the group of us that are there, and my colleagues, Santonu, everyone, we come with very different backgrounds, but our aim is probably is all very conjoined and is the same. We want students to go out having a theoretical knowledge, being critical, having the ability to reflect a little critically, but also equipped with skills that can give them some build their competencies for action. So the lab work, the field work, all leads towards this. So under the new NEP, the 4th year is going to be the student can opt either for a research project or a collaboration or internship. And we, as Shantanu was saying, as academic advisors, as faculty, our job is to help students to choose they can work with an organization for some time, learning about things like maybe how climate change models work, modeling works using remote sensing, using the quantitative methods they learn. They can, if they're inclined towards higher studies, they can also do a research project, learn how to think about, ask a question, and then figure out a proposal, methodology of how to do it, learn that process through making mistakes and correcting it, for which the faculty will be there to handhold. So this is going to be a very critical part of the students' education here, those who do the 4-year program here. And all of us, like I said, we come with very different kinds of interests, very vast backgrounds. So maybe we should just give a very quick introduction. I've actually done my master's in business administration, but have more than 20 years of experience now working in the development sector and more recently in the urban sector. And Shantanu, you want to introduce?
So yeah, my background is in physics, and I did my PhD in environmental science and engineering, both from US. And then I worked in several organizations in US before I came back to India to join ISRO as a senior scientist. And I worked there for about 5.5 years, and then joined this university about 2 years ago. And my work has been really interdisciplinary. You can probably assume it, right? As a physicist, turning into an environmental scientist. So very interdisciplinary, from field-based research to pretty heavy data processing, data science, and building instruments, working for many months up in the Arctic and Antarctic, from the US government side, and also from the Indian government side. So we two are just examples of what we have in the center. We have 10 faculty in here. Everybody comes with a very diverse background and very, how do I say, like very deep-rooted interest in solving environmental problems. So that's why when you look at the environmental problem, we really look at it more as a complex problem, and we try to think about it and then try to untangle it more from a systems perspective. And we try to instill this into our students right from the beginning, right from the beginning years, and handhold it, get them exposed to the theory, the data, the problem perspective, and then basically, lead them through these 4 years towards becoming I probably can boldly say a full-fledged environmental scientist who has understanding of the problem, the domains, the skills, and also the research acumen. Seema, go ahead. Yeah. Okay. She probably got disconnected. Yeah. So I think we can end our presentation in here, and then can open it up for people to for any questions or anything that they might have.
Yeah, I can see some questions already coming in terms of, I think that's a good question which we keep getting asked. How much of science should you be knowing in 11th and 12th? Should you have studied science at all in 11th and 12th? And I'm somebody who would have done humanities or social sciences or say commerce, but deep interested in ecology and environment. Can I join?
Sure. I mean, to get into our program, we really do not say that you have to have a science to it, like, do science in your class 11 and 12. Our program is designed in such a way, it really doesn't matter which background you're coming from, because we also have a screening process, and through that interview and screening process, we try to understand a student about how he or she understand environment. And as long as you have basic mathematics skills, and you always take science courses in till your class 11 class 10, and we just take the students from there. And in our current batch, we have a very good mix of social science and science students. So once a student is in, this is actually our responsibility to make sure the student succeeds. Okay, I think there is another question called, my son is studying eco and EVS in class 12. Of course, I mean, so there's a question says that my student is studying economics and environmental science in grade 12. Can he apply for a course? Yeah, I mean, definitely. We haven't talked about the minor option, right, Shiva?
No.
Yeah. So in our programs, so a student get into a major discipline, and the student will also have an option to do a minor in an area that he or she wants to do, of course, in working with the academic advisor. So, for example, in here, say if the student wants to get into environmental science and sustainability, that can be the major. And if the student wants to maintain his interest in economics, so he can take courses, selected courses offered by the economics program, and can turn that into a minor. Basically, a student will be undergraduate in environmental science with a minor in economics. Okay, so yeah, so there will be an entrance test. So it will be in two phases. One is written, and whoever clears that, and will have an online interview. So that's actually that interview means, it's not really your typical pass or fail sort of interview. We try to talk to the students who come for interview, just to have an understanding about the students' understanding of the environment. We try to mostly look for fit.
I think that let me answer that question briefly.
Yes, yeah.
That question in terms of that selection process. If that helps. Do others have questions around the program? I think we should finish that first. What is the teacher-student ratio?
Teacher-student ratio. Right now in the first batch, we have around 35 students in one class. And in the second year that we are going to go in, we are hoping to get 70 students. But the teacher-student ratio, every one of us, as an academic advisor, for example, I'm aware of each and every student. I've spoken to each of them. So we are accessible at all times. So if you're looking at roughly right now, the ratio would be around 1:10, right, Shantanu? If we keep all of us, 1:10 will be what the ratio. But more than the ratio, I think what for us is critical is the amount of time that we spend with the students. So those students who need extra help with any particular subject, quant, qual, whatever it is, they are always welcome to come. We have faculty hours and they can come and talk to us. Yes, residential is residential is mandatory. That's because the whole undergraduate liberal studies program has been envisaged as something where the student not only does the academics, but it's a part, the entire life cycle is something that we want to be invested in the student. So while the classes may get over from 8:30 to 5, there is a whole lot of clubs and activities and movie screenings, and sometimes there's stargazing, which the physics club organizes. ESS, we have movie screenings and interaction. So there's a whole student life that goes on. And that's why we want the students to be on campus. There's a lot of creative expressions classes. So there's a whole lot of things that the students get to do.
I think so there is a question on the entire selection process. Let me just share that if that helps the people who are listening here, right? So these are the broad admission milestones, right? I'm sure many of you are in the application process. If you have not finished the application, you should finish it as quickly as possible. There is an entrance test coming up on 7th of April, and those who are shortlisted, we just hope many of you get shortlisted. There's an interview, and after the interview, we'll be sending you the offer letters depending on whether you applied for financial assistance or not, and then the classes start, right? So we did, I think you should all know, we did one round of admissions in the month of December, January, and the offer letters are being sent out. But it doesn't matter, the academic classes are going to start only in July. What we're doing now is the second round. You can see the dates there that I'm not reading. Now, more interestingly, your question was, what does the entrance test look like? It's there on the screen. And this is all public information that's there on the website. I think one of my colleagues can put the, what do you call, the sample question paper on the link, right? And, and I would recommend that you practice for the entrance test. It should not happen that you're seeing the questions. It is seemingly, it may look easy, very easy. Both the English passage and the numerical ability questions, seemingly very easy. Those who are studying in a or those kind of a background, but please do practice. Please do practice. It's not at a difficult level of, I don't, IIT is the toughest. It's not at that kind of a level, but it will really test your school understanding of. There's no subject. It's a English passage given to you for reading comprehension, and numerical ability, mathematical ability, and this domain-specific question is, if you're taking sciences, there'll have 5 questions on that science related. It's not asking you about environmental science, physics, or chemistry, but something a higher level of numerical ability that is expected here. So broadly, if I remember, 18 to 20 questions in reading comprehension, again 18 to 20 in quantitative reasoning, and 5 domain-specific questions. These are all multiple choice. The essay, the descriptive question essay, depending on, I think it's 1 or 2 essays, depending on the major, you have to write. And if you have opted Bangalore campus, you're typing it inside a computer to come to a test center. That's about it. I think if there are further, it's quite straightforward. I don't think it's complicated. So domain specific questions. Yeah, so here what we mean by domain specific is, so for us, science is a domain, social science is a domain, humanities is a domain, right? So it's all clustered. It's not like if you have opted BSc chemistry, there'll be questions on chemistry. That we will evaluate during the interviews. That's what my other colleagues can add on the domain questions if you want. That's it. I think my colleagues are also giving the sample question papers where you can find them. Thank you. Somebody is asking. Yeah.
On the career prospects, Shantanu?
I think you had a slide. I think you can share that slide. Yeah. I didn't understand Vinay Kumar's questions on reservations. Of course, we do have we are a private university, but we still do reservations in a different kind. But it's on different dimensions. When you fill applications form, you know that how England universities working on affirmative action, right? Yeah, But over to you, Santonu, to show the career
Sure.
prospects.
I think there are 2 questions I can probably take at the same time. I felt like there are career prospects, and there's one question about how this program can build
Career with a master. So
masters, basically. Yeah. So I think we like gearing up for masters.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
And there is one question earlier is asking about biology and chemistry composition of the course. It's much earlier, but I think I'll take the career question. Seema, you can probably take that biology and chemistry composition question. So career-wise, so as we say during, as we are showing the program structure, we want to make sure that our students get enough knowledge about the domain, can understand the environmental problems from complex problem perspective, and also gain enough skills, hard skills. For example, GIS, remote sensing, there are 2 lab-based courses on air, water, and soil pollution, and microbiology, etc., etc. So, and then the students will do an actual internship in the last year, can be in a research organization, can be, in any company, or can be also, working with a faculty to develop a thesis. So after all these, in 4 years, we believe the students will be ready for a job if the student wants to go for a job in, say, data processing, can be in your GIS, remote sensing type of work, and can also be in CSR organizations, can be in think tank, because they will be getting a lot of exposure to environmental problems, right? And for us, we encourage students to start thinking about research or internship from the very first year, even though we don't quite arrange those internships. But our hope is that by the end of the 4th years, they will be ready for the marketplace, right? And when it comes to going for higher studies like masters or even PhD, as you know, with a 4-year bachelor's degree, now students can go for a PhD directly in India, even abroad as well. So we think that, after this much exposure and training, students will be ready for higher studies as well. And as we said, if you check the faculty profile of the program, and then you'll probably realize that each and every faculty is heavily invested in research as well, in addition to teaching. And we also have, from our climate center, we also have large programs. So we call it the climate festivals, basically. I mean, we do every year. Basically, like very, very large exhibitions focusing on a certain topic. Last year, we did Forest of Life. This year, we're going to do Mountains of Life. So there are lots of exposure for the students, and also to interact with, various personalities, from the field. And we also have environmental, basically ESS club, we call it. And as part of the club, we bring in speakers to interact with students. So basically we start building those interactions as well. And hopefully I answered that question. Seema, you please add anything that you want to add to it.
Oh, I think you covered it. So as Shantanu said, we're just trying to give the basic knowledge, skills, some amount of field practice, the internship and research practice, and help the students, nudge them towards the path that would work really for them, whether it is a career or it is a research path. And in the career, of course, we will try and help them identify organizations they want to be in. It could be NGOs, it could be CSR, it could be research organizations, it could be think tanks, whichever it is.
I think there are, do you want to address that chemistry and biology composition question maybe through that? Because it's sort of mixed, like it's just spread all over, but maybe.
Yeah. Okay, I have a question regarding the prerequisites for studying environmental sciences. Is biology? No, absolutely not. We take students from any background, humanities, social sciences, anything, as long as they are able to clear the entrance test and the admission interview, we are fine with those.
And then there is another one, environmental communication.
So yes, so one of the things that we have been thinking about at the center has been, we all know that there is environmental degradation, there is climate change that is happening, but why isn't it that people are getting this idea, that this is very, very critical. What is it in environmental communication that is missing, that everybody around us seems to be very untouched by all the climate change and environmental damage that is happening. So we are working, we are having this environmental communications course that will help students work on both narratives and data to present a compelling story about how the environment is changing, not just the negative stories, also the positive stories of change and how climate change is happening. It's not about writing. We are thinking of different formats, data visualizations. We're thinking of graphics, illustrations. Some of our students have written a whole number of. Shantanu and I have worked with a girl from, not from our university, but from elsewhere, to do a illustrated book on climate change adaptation. So how do we communicate about this climate change? So we're thinking of, the course will address all the different ways. How many batches? This batch will be the second batch that is going to take the course. None of them have passed out yet. The ESS program was started last year. So the first batch will only pass out in 2027.
Yeah.
And remember, this is like the new format. This is the new education policy. It's a 4-year program.
That's
so
right.
we are one of the very first.
Yeah. Environmental science, yes, maybe the second batch, but around the 7th batch of UG students will be graduating this year. And then we all in the previous format of the 3-year program, we always had a sustainability as an interdisciplinary study area, right, Seema? That people used to do economics with sustainability or biology with sustainability. So this is not a new area for us in Brain Geometry. This is something which we have invested since 2011 when we started the university. It's only at this point of time that we're quite clear that it has to be offered as an undergraduate program, and it's a science by itself. The way we talk about physics, chemistry, biology as a discipline, what we're trying to do here is to find a space for environmental science, and it should no longer be it should be a science of hope, right? It should not be people talking about it. But I think a lot of questions, I think it'll clarify if I tell them how the program is structured in the larger 4-year curriculum. Let's just try that. I'm going to share a screen.
Yeah.
And we'll just see if that makes sense to the audience. So if you can see the screen now, you're opting for a major at Azim Premji University, which is, I hope many of you listening this are looking at environmental science. You combine that major with a occupational minor. I'll tell you why we are calling it occupational minor. As the name suggests, we clearly know these are areas that there'll be enough jobs in the 21st century. Right? What you combine that is going to be based on your interest. Of course, there'll be a lot of academic advisements. You may see some are naturally marrying each other, like climate studies, or you never know, conservation, or somebody wants to get into environmental journalism, may want media and journalism. Never, it's up to your interest. Now, the way I look at the program, the wonderful part of the program is that in the final year you could do a research working with the faculty member. And Santonu, Seema can keep me right if this doesn't match or align with your thinking. But this is broadly the overall curriculum. And those who feel that no, it's not research, I want to be ready for a workspace. You could do an internship in the occupational minor that you've chosen, right? That's also possible. And what is really connecting what you learn is the common curriculum, and that we offer at Azim Dreams University. Right? It doesn't matter what major minor you do. You could do I mean, you have to go through all the common curriculum courses to give you the sensibilities for dialogue, cooperative learning, or what I call skills for the 21st century, right? Working with people who are not like you. That's the common curriculum. Finally, before I stop, the curricular component also has got something called a flexible curriculum. Right? A lot of credits being given to you, so you decide how you want to design your educational experience. Just give an example. Somebody doing environmental science can also do a lot of courses in biology if it is declared as a flexible course. Or somebody may say, no, not biology. I am interested in environmental philosophy. Just making it up. The philosophy of environment. Why should we care about the future generation? If that's the question, then probably we have answered in philosophy and not in the sciences. So I'll stop now. The point I was trying to make here is to understand the beauty of the major that you're choosing at a St. University. You have to understand this in totality, looking at all the other components that makes up your learning experience at the university. Okay, sorry, I didn't mean to hijack Santanu's and Seema's talk, but I just want to make them understand that the learning experience at the St. University is, I wouldn't say unique, it's very unusual. We don't see it in many other universities. And with this, when you graduate, because we're talking about careers, तो मैदान एकदम खुला है. There's a lot of stuff that you could what would open up will be amazing. I mean, there'll be multiple things that you may want to do after graduation. I'm done.
Right. So there was a question, I guess, probably the first question, which was about what percentage of the total program constituted biology and chemistry understanding. So that was right in the beginning. Let me see how I can put it in here. So we have a few science, you can say sciencey, like courses. For example, in the second semester, the students take something called Understanding Earth System Science. That is going to be an overall understanding of the Earth system. That is going to include basically biology, chemistry, like that sort of say angle. And that is paired with a lab course on pollution, air, water, and like soil pollution. Typical chemistry lab. And there will be a second course on that same one, and there will be a microbiology course. Right. So those are, I can say, when it comes to your chemistry and biology, like core, if you're thinking about it, so that will address these things directly. And on the other courses, students will be working on problems related to this. Right. And if somebody wants to take a minor in biology or chemistry, they can always fulfill that, taking additional courses from those programs.
Yeah, so there's one on so Rajgopal has answered that was the easiest one. Your graduate is we have many graduates who are studying in the USA, in Lund, etc. Is it possible to change the major to environmental science after joining the APU? It is possible, but it is subject to certain conditions. So one is the student should have taken a specific flexible credit in the first semester, so they can shift to the other major immediately in the second semester, third semester, and also both the majors, it should be okay with both the majors, the faculty in both the majors, and there will be an interview process again, a very informal kind of an interview process with the faculty of the major they want to shift to see if the student is ready to do that major, because we're taking the student for a particular specific major and they've been tested for that. There will be an informal interview to find out if the student fits it. So it is possible, definitely it is. What is the other one? What is the scope of the course in commercial corporate sector? Chandra, you want to talk to them about your Toyota?
Yeah, I mean, we really don't say prepare students to serve as like a specific sector, because we are we care for the development of the country, right? So that's our major focus. But our students will be ready with skills, like say data processing skill, your mapping skill, remote sensing skills, lab skills. So it's up to them, what they want to go and pick up. But we prepare students to solve problems in climate, environment, and sustainability. So after that, whatever students want to pick up, but they'll be ready. I mean, skill wise. And I think there is one. What are the
I think
in terms of
I was just when the people who ask about jobs, I think there'll be more jobs in the people will have to work in the corporate world more. That's where the work is. If you want to work on better ESG practices in your traditional businesses to achieve what we call net zero targets,
Yeah.
That's where the people are required. Or maybe we're talking about startup in energy or transport, waste and water. And all this is we can't really. These are all corporate areas. Yeah.
No, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, again, now sustainability, now it's coming up. It's not part of CSR anymore. It's a new vertical because, like the companies are building major groups in there. And from our understanding, with the way we interact, there's a major void in there. So they do need people, skilled people to work in those sectors.
Sure.
So, and what are the master's option in terms of specialization like renewable energy? At the university, we do not have any specialization like that. They can take a course maybe if one of our faculty offers it. But in the master's, yes, they are free to go and do. We have an economics student who became very interested in sustainability, and she's now doing her PhD in Lund in sustainability. So, I mean, really, the sky is the limit. If you have an interdisciplinary education, then you can pretty much choose your area of interest and fit in anywhere. Is there any other?
It's asking
Yeah.
how many majors and minors per semester. Oh, that's a very next level kind of a question. But I'll just broadly tell you. It's there hiding in one of my slides. Let me just bring that up quickly and tell you how your 4 years would look like. But if you're in 12th and if you're asking me that question, I'm really amazed. I wish I had asked that question before going to a university. But this is how your 4 years would look like. Whoever asked that question, hope I'm not confusing you with this slider. I'm not sure who asked that question. Can you see my slide?
Tara, yeah.
Yeah. How many disciplinary major and occupational?
Yes, I can see your slide.
Yeah. So this is how your disciplinary major courses gets over by in the first 3 years. Your occupational minor is starting only in the not only it should start only in the second year. So that's how it is. So number of courses will be. So for example, I think somebody needs to be on mute. It's not mine. Yeah, I had to mute somebody here. So the number of courses per year would differ. Okay, so when you're starting in the first year, there could be one course in the major in the first semester, two courses in the second semester, but it will vary. But broadly, this is how it will be. Hope this answers your question. But and some semesters uh, may be heavy, some semesters may be light. Okay, yeah.
So broadly, we have about 4 courses every semester split between these 3. Like the first year, they do 1 course in the disciplinary major. They have 1 course in the flexible from the flexible courses and 2 in the common curriculum. The years progress, you finish your common curriculum in the first 2 years. Your major courses become the numbers increase in the semester. So that's when the load also increases. And then you add the occupational minor and the occupational track. So yes, that's how it is.
Okay. I think on that note, we seem to have answered as many questions as possible.
Actually, welcome me on in this course. You mean after the student passes out from this? So it will depend upon where the student gets an employment. So placement wise, we don't have any exact numbers specifically for ESS, but we're pretty confident with the skills that we give and the knowledge that they will be able to get a job to sustain themselves and do masters if they want to go abroad. So yeah.
I'm
We
going
don't
to say
yet have a
pretty
batch
good.
that
That way, like the way the field is growing, the way we need number of people to solve complex problems, the way some of these verticals are actually developing, like sustainability, ESG, and all these things. I think future is very bright, even from income side as well.
Yeah. But that's something that we don't try to do as a university as a matter of principle,
Right.
is try to lure into a program telling this much money.
Right.
But there are absolute campus placements available. We have a placement cell. It's not just placement cell. I mean when I look at the work that my colleagues are doing, it's also career guidance, counseling, plus a placement cell where we connect with organizations, invite them for campus placement. We have more than 100 organizations coming for campus placements, but broader, not only talking about environmental science here, but who would not want to see that the way it works is once they see the program curriculum, it's the employer who would say that, oh, they know this, they know this, they know this. Oh, that looks like my training time is reduced, right? It's all about that. How do we make them work ready or professional so that they can straight away start doing the work that you. So we do have campus placements, Vinay. So and that's only getting better and better. And the idea of the 4-year program, if I can, I know I'm making a forward-looking statement, but still let me say that the idea of the 4-year program is to develop this into a terminal degree, right? We want to break that. I mean, of course, if you wish to do an integrated PhD, master's, more than welcome. But be quite clear, those who want to get into a job straight after graduation, we should be able to do that as a university.
What are the flexible courses? How is it different from the occupational minors? So, go on, Rajgopal, you wanted to say something?
No. You can try. I mean, the name itself says it's flexible, so you can.
Yeah, so essentially after the bucket of the major, the minor and the occupational minors, there will be a few electives, two I think, which is left for the student to pursue based on his interest. Now suppose a student says who's very interested in say renewable energy. Somebody mentioned renewable energy, so I'm taking that example of renewable energy. If somebody is very interested in that, and if a faculty is offering that course, the student can use his flexible credits to attend the course, provided the timetable, etc. fits in. Similarly, the environmental communication course is something that maybe many students would be interested in, because irrespective of what you do, you want to communicate what you do very well. So that also could be, that will also be a part of the flexible credit process. And it's not just the flexible flexible credits that are offered by us. They can also sit in a flexible credit if it is offered by another major. Maybe philosophy, like Rajgopal was saying. I want to know more about the philosophy of different environmental thinking and thought, so they can sit through that. So that's how they'll use the flexible credits.
Yeah.
So the occupational minors have a 25 credits. If you choose a particular occupation minor, it's a bucket of 5 courses that they have to do. Similarly, if they choose to do the minor, the disciplinary minor, that is again a bucket of 25 courses that they have to do. And over and above that, they will have some 10 credits to do as a flexible credit. Is it possible to do PhD without master's, Santonu?
Yeah.
Yes.
Rajgopal can correct me, but as far as I understand, now, yeah, it's with your 4 years bachelor's, you're eligible for a PhD.
I'm saying this because I'm also part of the alumni office committee. When we look at the career trajectory of a lot of our graduates, they are getting into integrated PhD programs with the BSc honors degree, right? In places like National Center for Biological Sciences, it could be even places abroad. So, and it's got a lot to do with the kind of recommendation letters you get from people like the faculty. It's not. I mean, one of the reasons why I tell people to go to a good place, a good university, is to get into the network of faculty members.
Yeah.
We are right. So that's something that you will know only when you graduate. So people are. It is the possibility is depending on the profile that you build during your 4 years of study. And of course, the university finding that you don't need to go through a master's program. So, yeah, things are changing. Things are really changing pretty fast in the country. Yeah. So anyway, since you asked the question of flexible courses, somebody who asked that, the way I would explain this is there's a major that is environmental science. You could do a occupational minor, right? In say climate studies or media and journalism. You could also do one more disciplinary minor if you wish to through the flexible courses, if you intelligently design. Or if you say flexible courses, I don't want to do a disciplinary minor. I want to make it truly flexible by doing different courses every semester. That's also fine, right? But the flexible is so flexible that it doesn't dilute the knowledge that you gain in environmental science. So you will graduate with the sensibilities of an environmental scientist. Yeah. And Ayushi, to answer your other question, the new education policy is, if you read the document in higher education, it is talking the overall idea of making ours a 4-year program. When I say ours, the country's undergraduate program, a 4-year program, is to enter into PhD programs without a master's. Right? So this was all designed as a quick 30-40 minutes conversation, which is almost reached 1 hour now.
Yeah, it's an hour.
Yeah. Thank you, Swati, for that
you.
feedback. This session was also designed as an admission chat. So if there is anybody who's come in and wondering why we're not talking about admissions, you're more than welcome to ask questions around admissions if you have anything. But I did cover in the beginning. But if you think still we should be answering something around the admission process, interview, etc., uh, feel free to ask. Otherwise, we have more coming up in tomorrow and Monday and Tuesday. We're going to do this every day for 1 hour. And when me and my colleagues were saying, we are really enjoying this much more as the participants. I would not, I mean, the way you kind of organize the core courses into different uh, thematics, I can say that is really, really good. Framing, science, society, research, action, rather than calling it perspective building or normally we tend to use this academic terms. It's very nice. I think I'm going to copy paste into my slide also because environmental science being a new area for students, it's the easier we explain, the better is for somebody to really understand. And the did you speak about the capstone work also, Seema, in the beginning? There's something in the end that they do, is it? Environmental communication capstone.
So the capstone course is the sustainability action in you, which kind of brings all the things that they have learned in the labs and in the original framing course, as well as the other skills-based courses, and puts it into the what do you do with all this that you have. So that's
Right. Right. I think on that note, if there are no more questions, we'll just wait for a minute. If you want to ask, and come on, raise your hand and come on video or audio can also ask question. But thank you for yeah. Then if there are no more questions, we should slowly wind up then. Right. So thank you, participants. I think your questions made it much more enriching. And Seema and Santanu, thank you so much for
Thank you.
nudging us also to do the session. And clearly there's a lot of interest in the topic. And if you want to close with any of your final words of wisdom, if you let Seema, she'll talk about tree planting. If you,
Plant
that's
protect.
I'm sorry.
Plant carefully, protect
Plants, yes,
aggressively.
yes, indeed.
No, I'm going to say let's build the skills so that we can solve all these complex problems. Let's just get a much better and more sustainable world.
And
Thank
we
you
love
very much.
working with the students on different projects. So we're always doing it. Santonu and I are working on a number of projects.
Yeah.
For us, most of our research ideas come from students
Yeah.
who come with, hey, what do we do about this? So that's one of the biggest pluses of having students on campus as well, because they're always around you asking many questions. And if 90% of the questions, maybe we may find, okay, maybe not possible, the other 10% is what goes into our researchers.
Wonderful. Right. Okay. So thank you very much. On that note, we will end the meeting and we will see you tomorrow to talk about economics. And then Monday it is English, then biology, then information sciences. So if you're joining us in the upcoming webinars, I'll see you there. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye.